All right. So we come to a little interruption in the large size fiction bookcase. Two dictionaries. Really, it's just one dictionary. It is the Shorter Oxford English Dictionary. And one of the libraries here in Albuquerque, probably more than one, but one that I've noticed, has the unabridged one, and it's many volumes, and it's awesome. Like, I looked at my daughter Anodyne's name in it, and there was over a full page. It was so much more than is in this one. But I got I got this dictionary as a Christmas gift. Well, I remember my then brother's first wife was there. So that would have been the early 2000s. I've had these for a while. I bet I've had these 20 years. This edition is from 2002. And it was probably not long after this, like 2003 or 2004, I bet, that I got these. And I used to use them all the time. You know, the internet, some of you youngins might not know, was not always, the handy tool that it is now, or as common, you know? I mean, I remember when people used email very differently, and they would write each other letters with email. You know, that didn't last too long. And then, you couldn't just go online and be like looking up whatever word anytime. I mean, I guess you could, but you'd probably go to like dictionary.com or whatever. And I don't know. It wasn't the automatic go-to that I think it is now. You just look something up online. And so I used this a lot. This was back in the days when I wrote at a personal computer at a desk. Haven't done that in forever. It's laptop city now. But back in the day, I would consult this all the time. This is, a great work. There's a great Stephen Wright joke about the dictionary. He's all, first time I ever read the dictionary, I thought it was a poem about everything, which I love. And then I thought it was Mitch Hedberg that had this joke about the dictionary just being, every book just being a remix of the dictionary, which is really funny. I mean, the dictionary really is an interesting book. I have thought about reading a whole dictionary before. I probably have read like a small paperback dictionary or two as a youngin'. But dictionaries are cool. Words are interesting. Growing your vocabulary really is like key as a writer. You want to know all the good words and all the best words. You don't want to just be like, plodding along. If I turned this channel into just reading this dictionary, it would probably be a more popular booktube channel. Should I do it? All right. If there was like an overwhelming outpouring or something, sure I would do it, because I was thinking about doing it anyway. But probably won't. But I bet you would really learn a lot. I wonder if it would change your writing style, if your writing style would become more like Borges or something. Very precise and pseudo-academic or something in a literary way. What's the word? Azelaic. A solid fatty acid obtained by oxidizing various fats, such as castor oil, present in rancid fat. So I bet you didn't know that. And now you know all about azelaic. How would you use that? I'd like to see that in a sentence. Sometimes it's cool when you take science words outside of their setting. You can do a lot with them. Like W.H. Auden was once seen on his way to a science lecture, and they're like, why are you going to that? Aren't you a poet? And he's all, to increase my store of metaphors. Nerd alert. But the guy had a point, No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he had bound. Set bounds to limit, restrict. Clinkstone. Compact grayish blue feldspathic rock having a metallic resonance when struck. Clinkstone, that's a great word. Bring it back. Determinative. Characterized by determining something, serving to determine something decisive, limiting, distinguishing it. Thing which determines something. Oh, yeah. So a long time ago, my younger sister, then younger brother, and I were exploring this old stone house in a field near Carnwell, New Mexico. And I could be real specific about where it was and stuff. I could tell the story like that. However, better to keep this one vague. But the stone house was pretty interesting because it was full of human remains. But we could tell that they were from ancestral Puebloan graves that had probably been plowed up in this little village's field and just like stacked there. Like, what do we do with these? But in that same hut, we're on the floor amongst lots of like old nastiness from everything. There were all these negatives, and they're old film negatives, and they're from the 50s. And so I hid them in that, not hid them. I put them in the dictionary to flatten them out because they were really crinkly when I first got them. I've scanned these into a computer, and they're amazing. They show people working they're phone operators during the 1950s, probably working a switchboard at Kirtland Air Force Base. Some of them, anyway. I've met people that knew the people in the photos, and I got a little more information at one point that I was on somewhere. I mean, that's so cool, right? It's just so cool. Not too clear, though. Eerie. This will probably be the video thumbnail. Terrify everyone. Though I just let the internet pick them at random. Oh, these are great. Yeah, some show outdoor scenes of a particular ranch. Some of these are just cool textures. I can't see anything. Now these beings from the past have peered into all our lives. Let's hope they're benevolent. Hunting photo. Ranching photo. I once pitched a photo history book to Images of America, that series. My first book is in that series from Arcadia Publishing. And that I wrote, Towns of the Sandy Mountains. And I said, what if I track down lost images from me and from all your other writers that we have no credits for them? And I did a cool found type book of these things, but I placed them all into the larger context of American history. I think that could have been an incredible book, and I might still make something like that sometime. Because I have this great picture of the locals in Edgewood, New Mexico watching a rodeo. At least I think it's Edgewood. But that's the thing. Sometimes when you can't know the provenance of something, where's it from? Just these photos end up in people's collections. Yeah. Anyway, it's a really well-designed dictionary, and I'm glad to have it. And I think people should own stuff like this. Sometimes the power might be out, and you need to look something up. Sometimes you just want the definitive word, Or you want to quote something legit because in something you're writing and not just like the internet. I mean, the internet is cool and all, but, it's nice to have a well-researched source. Oh, that little wooden box was also on the shelf. A lovely little piece of craftsmanship. This belonged to my older sister, who died in 2001. She sadly took her own life and was a really amazing person. I really loved her. She gave me these were I don't know if any of this stuff was hers anymore. I think those flowers were whatever those are. She always had a nature table or a mantle or something like that going. But she's the reason that I was really into books as a kid. Nature, music, art. She just like brought all that into our family's lives all the time. And, something that a friend said to me in high school once really stayed with me and has helped me in my life. And that is that it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, Every time people do it afterwards, I'm like, that's so freaking stupid. What the heck? You would have been fine like a month later, Anyway, sorry, I want to keep these videos positive and good. But, books and such, they're all bound up among many things. And we all have stuff like that in our lives. That's why you write a memoir, It's like the Ring video in The Ring. You got to pass it on. Get it out of your life. Here, this may be sad. You take it. Anyway, I got this bookshelf that just has this like very short shelf on it. I think you're probably supposed to put like pine boughs in it or something. Or like Hobby Lobby lettering that says live, laugh, love. Maybe I will get that because those are all good things. This is not what I thought the channel was. Anyway, so that's today's video. It's just the dictionary. But if you think about it, the comedians are right. It's just, it's a poem about everything. And it's, what else? It's, everything else is that. You really could remix it into something interesting. Wild. Words. It's cool to look at words. It's interesting to look back to the history of literature, etc., to when these things were less regimented. Like Lewis and Clark could never spell certain words, and maybe it didn't matter so much. They spelled Sioux, like the tribe, so many different ways. They spelled mosquito like 30 some documented ways. And some of them were just nonsensical and hard to figure out. Like, what are you trying to say here? But most were just like mosquitoir. It's great. Anyway, gotta love the dictionary. For many years as a young writer and reader, I've always been nerdily obsessed with the things I'm obsessed with. But as a young writer and reader, everything I would read, I would keep something to write to mark it up. I was really like hard on my books for a while. Every book I read, I would mark up that I kept, that were mine. And I would keep a paperback dictionary with me the whole time. And any word that I didn't know, I would underline it, put an asterisk next to it, and write the definition in the margin. And then I would highlight and circle it in the dictionary. And so the dictionary was so taped up and beat up and crazy looking after a while. And I had it like 4 or 5 years. Back cover was like a piece of cardboard. And and I learned like half my vocabulary during that time. It was great. I still use words from that all the time. Bonhomie, if I ever use that, it's from that. I wouldn't know that word otherwise. It means a genial manner. I looked it up when I heard it. That was actually from Billy Bragg's song. They looked it up. Anyway, the dictionary, I bet there's other dictionary videos on YouTube. Now I'm going to go look. Is this a thing? I mean, if people are going through their whole book collections, they're eventually going to get to reference works. They got to say something, maybe. Anyway, to love books is to love words, So I'm happy to own these. You can never go wrong. I mean, I noticed that a number of the books we look at here are gifts, and I'm like, those are always great gifts. Books are the best gifts. Yeah. And at least with this one, we had a digression into Nightmare Lost Images of a Lost World, as seen on negatives held up against the lamp. You don't get that with every dictionary discussion, so it's good we had that. And then I had this little discussion I got to add a trigger warning for. But you know what? Just because someone dies doesn't mean that that's the whole of them. When I think of the people in my life that have died, they're not just, the sad ending. Just like a movie with a sad ending is not just the ending, It's like, it's the whole of it. People like the rest of Romeo and Juliet too, not the ending. Not just the, anyway. So, or whatever. And anyway. Yeah, and also life is just a tangle of stuff. It's kind of funny trying to have a YouTube channel where I try to stay positive and keep it something that could be shown in a classroom. That's kind of a mentality that I have a little bit, even though, I don't know what these would offer people in a class, unless a clip was isolated or something about a particular book. Anyway, I just know that, I have students out there and I have kids out there, and so I'm like, I want it to be just kind of a general thing. But it's kind of funny to work within those constraints a little bit. I'm like saying stuff like gosh again. Anyway, why? I don't even know. It's like when you start doing it with one word, you bring the whole system over or something. I don't know. It's weird. Actually, if I use the tamer words, it's usually like more genuine emotion than if I use the standard one, because growing up religious, you have to use the tamer ones. Anyway. All right, the dictionary, shorter Oxford English Dictionary. Maybe someday I'll own the unabridged. That would be a cool thing to have. But my book collecting mentality is also a little different now. Like, I think my collection personally is the best it's ever been, but it is not the biggest it's ever been. I had like 11,000 books, I swear, because I gave 7,000 away. I'm pretty sure I was doing like a rough count as I sold them and gave them away, and I still think I have 3,000 or 4,000. But I think it's a better collection than ever because it's like so good, And I'm kind of like editing the individual cases now, so where I don't have a lot of overflow and stuff. I don't really want to have overflow if I can help it. I like the cases to be my theme, but can't always pull it off, especially when you're in a 2-bedroom apartment with limited space. All right, the dictionary, the end. Oh, thanks for watching, everybody, by the way. I'm almost at 100 followers. That's so crazy. And I've been watching so many other people's book videos, and many are very interesting and good, and I just kind of like the whole thing that we're doing here on BookTube, as they call it. It's kind of fun. Catch you later.